Hey, this podcast holds nothing sacred. This is Life, Tech, and Sundry. And what is Sundry? It's our experiences put in a melting pot to the internet. So join us on this wild ride called the LTS Podcast. Follow us at LT Sundry on Twitter, LTS.pod on Instagram, Life, Tech, and Sundry on YouTube, and all your favorite podcast distribution services. Stay frosty.
Imagine this, paying a premium for what you think is a high-performance sports car, only to realize that the engine block is held together by scotch tape and wishful thinking because the mechanic spent all their time on the paint job. Is exactly what happens when you buy into a self-proclaimed internet animation studio that can catch a flashy profile picture but fall completely flat, that needs to move through three-dimensional space. It's like in Cyberpunk 2077 at launch. Unbelievable marketing style, completely making a broken operational reality. We're seeing a massive influx of pop-up outfits using the name anime as a luxury buzzword to shield themselves from a total lack of technical discipline. Salutations. I'm your host, Marcos Lopez, and you've tuned into LTS Out of Office, where we pull back curtain on digital media culture before the algorithmic hype leaves your wallet completely hollow. Buckle up and let's dive straight into the evolution, starting with the illusion of the label. Flash versus fundamentals. The current landscape of online freelance animation is plagued, if you will, by studios that are essentially just illustration galleries operating under a false flag. Creators hire these groups expecting professional narrative movement, only to realize they are paying a premium to micromanage basic art school homework. It's something called as a studio trap, if you will. Thousands of independent digital collectives label themselves as anime studios on social platforms solely because they copy the aesthetic at a surface level, these markers of Japanese animation. It's the visual equivalent of putting an power badge on a base model sedan. Looks fine from a distance until you press on the gas. It just falls completely flat. They aggressively mimic these heavy ink lines and colorful shading profiles to mask a total lack of sequential drawing training and elite aesthetic style. For example, for me, I'm a fan of the art style of Hanna-Barbera, specifically with Johnny Quest. Obviously, that's my taste. What kind of art style calls to you? Let me know in the comments. Basically, they overuse it, ruining this aesthetic over an empty technical framework. There's a lot of technique there and they're ruining it just to make it look nice. When independent creators commission these teams, they increasingly find themselves forced to provide the entire foundational layer themselves manually. Relying on unverified online outfits transforms a client into an exhausted frame-by-frame quality controller. You are literally paying to become the director, the quality assurance department, and the lead keyframe artist all at once, while their invoice basically is racked up. Your invoice is being racked up and theirs is being cleared. They're just getting paid for you to manage them, basically. They stall out inside a messy feedback loop. Instead of outsourcing labor to free up this administration overhead, creators are turned into high-stress micromanagers, basically redrawing basic assets to ensure minimal quality baselines. The internal collapse happens the moment these outfits face dynamic character movement or structural perspective changes. One frame, your character looks like a seasoned jujutsu sorcerer, and The next frame, their arm stretches out like a poorly rendered PlayStation 1 asset. Vanishing points are completely ignored. Background perspectives warp mid-scene, and anatomical joints bend in directions that defy human biology. Instead of expanding development pipelines, independent creators lose business hours checking basic frame compliance. Tracking frames turns into a full-time auditing job rather than creative direction. You end up playing spot the anatomical disaster instead of actually managing your business or writing scripts. Projects hit massive delays and financial overruns because fixing broken frames and sequences require paying premium cleanup artists after the initial studio has already been paid. Are we actually witnessing a democratization of independent media production tools, or are shortcut artists simply utilizing automation software to exploit creators who cannot verify technical credentials until the check clears? You tell me in the comments. The harsh reality is that the casual indie creator frequently gets crushed under these empty marketing banners, leaving them with broken timelines. Open social platforms, you can find aesthetically beautiful portfolios in seconds, but you have zero control over the underlying technical delivery until you've already committed a deposit. To be completely fair to the democratization of digital art tools, these open freelance platforms have allowed exceptional self-taught global talent to break into the ecosystem without traditional institutional gatekeeping. You can find genuine indie prodigies hiding in these internet spaces, but you have to sort through mountains of digital fool's gold, if you will, to find them. By lowering the cost of digital drawing tablets and rendering software, it has fundamentally leveled the initial barrier to entry, ensuring anyone with raw dedication can theoretically scale a production house. Now, independent freelance hustle is great for building initial passion projects, but raw internet aesthetic styling doesn't scale an industry. To understand how actual technical animation pipelines operate at the highest level, we have to look away from open freelance hubs and trace the elite bridge built between France and Japan. I know it's weird, but just hang on with me for a minute. The elite standard, the French-Japanese pipeline. When we look at major global productions, the collaboration between European technical schools and Japanese production houses sets a brutal baseline for what an actual studio looks like. These long-standing alliance treats animation as an exact science rather than a marketing aesthetic. The deep co-production pipeline between France and Japan stretches back to the late 70s and early 80s. This isn't a new age tech trend. This is a decades-old artistic marriage that built the literal foundation of modern globalized cartoon culture. Early milestone productions like Ulysses 31 and The Mysterious Cities of Gold proved that Western structural narrative pacing could perfectly integrate with Japanese visual flair. If you watch these shows, Ulysses 31 and The Mysterious Cities of Gold, please let me know in the comments. French animation training institutions, most notably world-renowned schools like Goebbels, me being American, I'm gonna say Goblins. It's not said like that, but I like it for the bit. It's called Goebbels. Enforce an absolute tyranny of traditional fine art fundamentals. The will to make you draw 500 perfectly proportioned heads from 500 different angles before they let you even look at a digital stylus. Damn, that sounds so good though. It's like playing in any profession, any art. You gotta be really, really good before you even get into higher caliber stuff. Students spend years mastering live human anatomy, rapid perspective blocking, and physical mass distribution, making their technical drawings completely bulletproof before they touch layout software. Major Japanese productions houses actively seek out French animators because they seamlessly integrate Hollywood-style cinematic staging with deep character acting. Think of it as the ultimate artistic fusion, combining Western spatial blocking with the absolute high-octane pacing of a peak studio like MAPPA battle sequence. MAPPA, but yeah, if you have a favorite show from MAPPA, let me know. Western technical artists excel at keeping background geometry solid and consistent, liberating the Japanese key animators to focus entirely on kinetic energy and expressive emotional peaks. Contemporary production powerhouses like Fortiche have proven that marrying rigid European classical foundations with stylized digital finishes creates massive global properties. The show didn't look incredible by accident. It succeeded because every single brushstroke was backed by ironclad knowledge of lighting and form. Properties like Netflix's Arcane demonstrate that true prestige animation relies on treating every single background layer with the fidelity of a classical oil painting. Is the high-end global pipeline sustainable over the next decade, or is the brutal economic reality of Japanese studio margins forcing an unsustainable reliance on international labor pools to prevent total system collapse? The romanticized image of a solo Japanese studio is cracking under economic reality, making these global technical lifelines non-negotiable for survival. With only 40% of native Japanese animation studios operating in the green, the pressure to produce infinite streaming content requires farming out complex technical layouts to highly disciplined European environments. To be completely fair to the traditional Japanese studio ecosystem, their unyielding dedication to preserving the hand-drawn ethos remains a profound cultural triumph over automated digital shortcuts. Even when the commercial market tries to turn the art form into a factory line, the actual human animators are still putting their souls into every single frame key. The human premium, if you will. Now, there's a consequence. Despite thin profit margins and grueling delivery pressures, the kinesthetic masterclass of Japanese keyframe timing preserves an organic human imperfection that generative software cannot mimic. Maintaining that elite level of classical human artistry requires years of unglamorous manual training. When the broader creator market shifts away from discipline to instant viral engagement, the entire medium begins to accumulate an immense creative debt. Cost of shortcuts. Accumulating creative debt. Shortcutting the basic mechanics of animation to chase immediate digital trends creates a compounding negative loop. When the industry rewards superficial polish over structural integrity, the art form itself begins to lose its foundational value. Mind you, it's art. Art is in the eye of the beholder. Did it ever have a value in the foundations in the sense of creating it? Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it for someone else to pay for it? Think about it that way. But if you're thinking of it as an art form, I always default to soccer. anyone can kick a ball, but no one is a FIFA level soccer player. So think about it that way. If everyone could be a FIFA soccer player, it doesn't matter if you can just kick a ball regularly. I probably didn't say that right. Let me know in the comments. Let's see if it made it easier to understand. This modern attention marketplace is heavily flooded with hyper-stylized content that relies entirely on aggressive digital post-processing. It's the Michael Bay trick. If you explode enough sparks and shake the camera hard enough, nobody realizes the actors are just standing there, looking confused. Studios run heavy camera shakes, artificial motion blurs, and neon lens flares, especially to blind the viewer from seeing that the character models are completely broken or static. Over-reliance on automated asset templates and pre-built camera moves has led to an extreme visual sameness across digital networks. Basically, people who know about cameras, I don't, can observe frame settings and how it's a repetitive formula. Mind you, even people go to school for setting up frames, may that be on videos or on animations, they can call it. Just the rule of thirds, that's a simple thing, the rule of thirds, and it's formalized. Scroll through TikTok or YouTube, specifically their shorts, and you'll notice every single indie anime teaser uses the exact same layout, the same neon glow, and the same rigid wind cycle physics. About this word, monoculture. Instead of distinct artistic voices emerging from independent hubs, creators use identical digital tool sets, turning what should be a diverse creative ecosystem into a generic factory line. There's a saying in content creation, if it worked for that person, it could probably work for me. And there's a lot of examples that can do that. There's two specific content creators that comes to mind just in the making of content on YouTube. There's one called The Fat Electrician and the other one called also, I think their handle is The Fat Electrician, but then the other one is, what is it? I think he's also called Nick. Exactly the same style as Nick, but one is African American and the other one is not African American. Mind you, they came up at different times and they've interviewed the other Nick, Tactically Acquired. It's called a YouTube channel, and they've collabed in an interview, and they've said, I just saw The Fat Electrician do that and said, I can do that too, and it worked. So there's that saying, if that person did that style and it worked, why not me? Fake it until you make it kind of style. A new generation of digital freelancers enters the creative workforce, knowing how to operate complex software and interfaces, lacking spatial draftsmanship. They can navigate a complex software user interface with lightning speed, but ask them to sketch a human body walking down a flight of stairs on paper and the system crashes. Because these artists lack a foundational understanding of weight distribution and kinetic velocity, their character animations look floaty, weightless, and disconnected from the virtual physics of the environment. Independent creators founding their own media endeavors are pulling back entirely, leaving the market stagnant out of fear of low-grade outsourcing. People are flat out giving up on their passion projects because they are tired of paying thousands of dollars for work that looks like an unfinished beta test. Capital is retreating from independent production because the financial risk of fixing bad freelance keyframes outpaces the realistic revenue generated by independent distribution channel. Are we witnessing an inevitable generational evolution where software engineering replaces traditional draftsmanship? Try saying that 3 times over. Or are algorithmic pacing requirements permanently breaking our capacity to build long-form artistic mastery? The algorithm doesn't care about your perspective studies. It demands a new finished video every 72 hours, 3 days basically, forcing young talents to run on a treadmill of shortcuts. They gotta get paid. And the demand says that every 72 hours there needs to be a new product. Because digital monetization networks prioritize constant, high-frequency publishing schedules over deep artistic cycles, disincentivized from spending months mastering human anatomy. To be completely fair to the sheer processing power of modern software suites, these automated tool sets allow a single dedicated animator to complete rendering feats that once required an entire studio department. If you have the actual foundational talent, these tools turn you into a literal one-person Hollywood studio, which is a wild leveling playing field. For an artist who has already spent the hours mastering form, perspective, and anatomical velocity, modern software acts as a massive force multiplier, liberating them to construct sprawling cinematic worlds on an indie budget. The stark reality of the modern animation landscape reminds us that in a digital world increasingly overrun by synthetic shortcuts and superficial polish, genuine human draftsmanship has become the ultimate luxury item. You cannot buy or automate a true understanding of anatomy, proportions, or perspective. If you do not respect those core fundamentals, your work will eventually collapse under the weight of its own shortcuts. Don't let flashy social media reels trick you into lowering your standards. Vet your pipelines and respect the craft. If this analytical breakdown saved you from a bad production contract or gave you some necessary clarity on the global animation landscape, do me a solid. Hit the subscribe button, share this briefing with a creator friend, and let me know in the comments, are you willing to wait for human mastery, or is speed all that matters? Producing these independent out-of-office episodes takes a copious, clinically unhinged amount of caffeine, and tossing a few bucks to yours truly in Buy Me a Coffee, the virtual jar if you will, is what directly keeps the lights running and the deep dive research moving forward. Until next time, stay human, watch out for the shortcut traps, and I'll catch you on the next episode of LTS Out of Office. Stay frosty.